Next on the Sketchbook Veteran. Do you want to create rich and engaging characters that jump off the screen? Developing exciting and emotionally powerful characters in Midjourney can be super challenging. The solution to this puzzle is focusing on facial expressions and body movement. What's going on, Midjourney artists? My name is David, and this is the Sketchbook Veteran. Today, we're going to transform those boring and static character images that Midjourney loves to create into dynamic action movie heroes by focusing on their expressions, their movement, and their hands. So, why is expression and movement so important? Well, according to numerous experts, you've only got 2 to 3 seconds to grab your audience's attention before they look away. You need to give them a reason to stick around. And the good news is, it only takes a few well-placed keywords and phrases in your prompt to electrify your characters. It's really powerful, it works with all kinds of characters, and it's super easy. Let's get started. I'm a lifelong martial artist, and I love animals, so I wanted to have some fun trying to create the types of characters that might exist in animated films such as Zootopia, Kung Fu Panda, or Shrek, except I'm going to upgrade them with some cool fighting moves. Let's look at an example. I love this leopard image. This is exactly the type of energy we're looking for. Let's examine this for a second. You can see that his weight is balanced over both feet. He's wearing a traditional karate uniform or gi, including Kempo-style gloves like Bruce Lee wore in Enter the Dragon, and he's in a classic martial arts stance. But his face is calm and focused. That's not really the emotion I was hoping for. I want more connection. So we're gonna strip this prompt down. But before we get started, I want you to remember 3 things. There are 3 considerations before making any dynamic character image. Number 1, what is the body position and where is it located in the scene? Number 2, what is he feeling? Are his emotions readable? Not every emotion is. And 3, what are the hands doing and where are they located? We will use these as factors for evaluating all of the images we create today. Okay, let's head over to the prompt lab. In our previous video, we created a baseline prompt format. We're going to build off of that today. So let's start by creating a new version of our leopard. Karate Core Judo Punk Leopard, preparing to fight in a boxing ring. That's our description. Created by Jean-Baptiste Mange and Peter Ducev, those are our artists. Full-size fighting action pose. That's going to be the focus of our work today. Vibrant colors and beautiful lighting, hyper-realistic and detailed doodle and illustration, with an aspect ratio of 4 to 5. So I'm intentionally making this prompt narrow and tight, so we can just focus on the character form with less emphasis on background or render quality. One thing I want to call out toward the end of the prompt are these instructions. Hyper-realistic and detailed doodle and illustration. By stating hyper-realistic, I'm asking Midjourney to exaggerate the results just a bit. Detailed doodle and illustration is a compound statement that essentially mashes together the very loose doodle drawing style with a more structured illustration output. Think of doodle as a power word, similar to core, wave, or punk. It enhances the output with additional visual and stylistic flair. Let's start with the basics. First, I'm removing full-size fighting action pose so we can see the static version of this character, and we'll build up from there. So what are we looking at in this grid? We get multiple poses and views of our leopard in our artist combined styles. And as expected, there's not much activity or connection here. These characters aren't really doing anything. We also get some unwanted deformities and oddities because, while we weren't giving Midjourney enough context. Let's add back in full-size dynamic action pose. Not bad. All 4 of the images show the character's full body. All the characters are in an interesting pose. Leopard number 4 is even looking at the viewer, which creates direct engagement. We even have some fun martial arts uniforms, thanks to our use of core and punk. Nice. So let's make a small change to the prompt. Instead of full size or full body, either one works great, they're interchangeable. Let's try close-up instead. You can see how the camera moved in toward our characters. The closer the character, the greater the engagement with the viewer. We'll dive deeper into camera angles in a future video. For now, we'll stick with close-up. Additionally, instead of dynamic, we can also use some other random action terms such as epic, intense, or surreal. The goal is to push Midjourney in a general direction, but nothing too specific. Let's give our leopard martial artist some basic or body actions instead of random actions. Here, we want to use some generic verbs like running, jumping, or crouching that move or point our character in one direction. Also, if you don't get quite what you want, re-roll 2 to 3 more times. If you're still not getting what you want, try a different artist or change up your action term. I commonly have to re-roll at least once to get a compelling grid, and I'm constantly swapping in and out different terms. Let's ratchet up the complexity with compound action phrases. Depending on what you're going for, a single action term might not get the job done. For example, I think we can do a better job with the running action if we modify it to a more verbose or compound phrase like downhill running or Olympic sprinting. Sometimes you have to kind of outthink Midjourney. In other words, instead of thinking literally as in running or jumping, describe the action more visually by using 2 to 3 words that describe what is happening in terms that Midjourney can understand. This is more art than science, and the results are not always perfect. Midjourney can't see inside of your head. But if you can be more inventive in your description, you'll often get super interesting results, even if it's not exactly what you're looking for. Now, let's bring some emotion into play. Instead of saying preparing to fight, as we have in our current prompt, let's try a different verb that generates a facial expression or emotion, such as growling or roaring. Obviously, there's only so much expression or emotion that you can really expect out of a leopard, but I find these images really compelling and engaging. To more fully illustrate the concept, here are a few of my favorite leopards by different artists, so you can see what is possible just by tweaking the camera position, either full size, full body, or close up, with different expressions or emotions, body actions, and compound phrases. And that's all there is to creating dynamic character actions in Midjourney v5. To recap, let's slightly modify our 5-step process, which we debuted in the first video. Number 1, a solid opening description that contains an emotion or expression, and ideally uses the power words core, wave, or punk. Number 2, 2 to 3 artists that complement each other's styles, strengths, and weaknesses. Number 3, camera and pose descriptions that convey character movement and activity using 2 to 3 words or compound phrases. Number 4, simple lighting and color instructions. And finally, number 5, a compound phrase describing the desired output, ideally using the power word doodle. Okay, let's close with a visit to the Transmogrifier and see just how far we can push this process. Thanks for visiting the Sketchbook Veteran. In our next video, we'll tackle vector-based images that you can use for stickers, icons, mugs, t-shirts, and more. Be well, Midjourney artists. Sketchbook Veteran out.